How quickly did you see results?
Less than 2 weeks. This sounds dramatic, but truly, I think being a part of this program did save my life.
Hey, everybody. Today we are interviewing Dana, and I would call Dana's case study one of the most intriguing and probably one of my proudest moments in my professional career, watching this young woman overcome CIDP. If you don't know what that is, you'll find out. POTS, chronic fatigue, tons of acne, hormone problems, pain, mobility issues as a 26-year-old. I can't wait for you to see her transformation and how she got there. But honestly, I am so inspired by her. I can't be more proud. I cannot be more proud. I would say I'm her doctor mom, and I'm just so proud of her. I'm Maggie, UMD, and I am a functional and holistic medicine and the creator of the Transform protocol to turn around any autoimmune issue around naturally. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, make sure you click the link above or below this video with the link to join our Facebook group community, where we have tons of trainings and case studies. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and ring the bell. Hey, Dana, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, everyone. My name is Dana. I'm a 26-year-old. I live in New York City, and I'm a consultant. I mostly work with nonprofits and for-profit companies focused on really increasing the impact they make on the environment and the communities in which they work in.
I love that. 26-year-old who's kicking ass and ready to kick more ass, but really you had a lot of limitations because of your health like 6 months ago.
Yeah, and it was for 3+ years. I put a lot of time and money in my education. I went overseas to get my master's in the UK, and I came back, and that was really when my health started to hit the fan. But I was so thinking I had to pursue my career because of the time and effort I put in that I ignored a lot of the signs that I needed to slow down and take care of me first.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it caused me to get worse and worse. And I kind of wish I listened to that little voice in my head that was like, no, health is number one.
I mean, to your credit, girl, I mean, you realize this by 26. I mean, you've had a complete health turnaround by the time you're 26. And really just within the last couple of months since you made a decision to actually invest in your own education around this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so interesting. Like, we put a hell of a lot of money into our education overseas, getting our, undergraduate, getting our master's degree, in additional professional training, but yet we can be brought to our knees in a matter of months because of health problems that we don't invest in our own education in.
It's so true. If you want to have a sustainable life and pursue all of the things that you want, you have to make sure that your body and mind is in the best state to be able to do so. I feel like our modern medical society just kind of puts band-aids over things and tells you to keep going, that when you have chronic illnesses, that those symptoms you have are just what's there. And you have to learn that that's part of your life. And maybe they'll give you some medications that'll help, but maybe have even other side effects. And for me, that wasn't the answer, wasn't the solution, and wasn't sustainable. So that's why I wanted to pursue a different path. And I was really lucky to find you, who combines data and, you have your background as primary care doctor, but also really sees like functional and holistic approach.
You're talking about how it's not sustainable, how with our health, we band-aid, we played ostrich, we avoid it. We think there's a lot of other priorities. And I think it's really in line with what you're doing in your career with your mission and the nonprofit work that you do. How do we really make true impact?
Yeah, and it's thinking about long-term solutions, not just short-term fixes.
Absolutely. And there's a price. There's a price. There's always a price. And here's the thing. The price is much less when you take care of the problem in the environment early versus late when you're dealing with disastrous results. At that point, it can be catastrophic and too late. Why aren't we dealing with it at the front end?
100%. And if I took this program, 2 years ago rather than now, I would have saved thousands of dollars for my, I'll get into my autoimmune disorders in a moment, but for one of them, I had to get on very expensive intravenous drugs. And I had a really hard time getting it approved through my insurance. And I ended up having to pay out of pocket for months of tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, let's go back to, what were your autoimmune diagnosis and symptoms?
Yeah. I started to have autoimmune symptoms really back in around 2015, after I had that case of MRSA, I started to just get hives, different reactions that made it seem more autoimmune. I started to just have major chronic fatigue and brain fog. And then, 2 years passed, I kept pushing through all these symptoms and they started to just go up in severity. I began having neuropathy. So a lot of my hands and feet would tingle, and had a really bad temperature regularity, tachycardia, so my heart would beat super fast, and dizziness mostly upon standing.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of weight, didn't have a period for over a year, never had acne growing up, but as an adult, now I broke out. And I was just a mess. I saw
Mhm.
every specialist under the sun for over a year. Most of them told me my lab work was normal and that I was just recovering from some, stomach infections that I knew I had prior. But that's all it was. And I knew it was more. And I was so desperate, and the doctors could see that. But their answer to me at the end of the day was, you know what, maybe we could put you on psychiatric medication. Maybe you just need depression medication or anti-anxiety medication. And that just made me more
Mad.
upset and stressed. And I felt like I had to be my own doctor. I spent so many nights just up searching on Wikipedia, my symptoms, WebMD, and just was making myself crazy.
And Dana, I've known you for about 6 months, but at this point, you don't have a generalized anxiety. You're not
No,
even OCD, obsessive compulsive about anything.
right.
You were
Yeah,
just
but
sick.
I'm just yeah, exactly. I was sick, my body was tired, and my mind was tired of having to deal with it. But certainly wasn't my main cause of all my issues is not mental health. And it was very much physical. And I was one of the lucky few who have autoimmune symptoms who was able to get diagnosed.
Yeah.
I saw a doctor in New York who's a neurologist. He did some tests on me that came up with POTS. So that's a form of dysautonomia where I have, very rapid heart rate, dizziness and lightheadedness upon standing, poor circulation, and whatnot. And I also have CIDP, which is an acronym for chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy. So essentially, my immune system was attacking the myelin sheath around my nerves, mostly in my lower legs and in my arms. And that was what was causing a lot of tingling and pain.
So here's the issue. I'm so grateful you had a neurologist who was able to diagnose the CIDP as an autoimmune disorder. But the thing is, do you know that right now POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, is treated as a cardiovascular disease and not as an autoimmune disease?
Yeah,
And
it's so true.
and you were on a live with me where I talked about that one of the triggers of POTS, it's actually an autoimmune attack against the nerves, the balance center in the brainstem of your brain. So that's just one of the
So
mechanisms.
interconnected.
Yeah. So it's not like your CIDP and your POTS are separate. They're actually just different manifestations of an autoimmune attack against nerves and other targets that are really common with people with autoimmune disease.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the big things that I learned in this program is how much we have to view our body as a system, right? You
Yeah.
can't compartmentalize different organs, different systems within your system, right? They all are intertwined.
And here's the thing, there is zero education for doctors around this. Then how are patients like you supposed to learn that anywhere else?
Right.
We
Exactly.
compartmentalize people into body parts by the way we send them to different specialists. And these specialists know nothing about these other body parts and how they connect with what's going on with them. So you were lucky that your neurologist was able to diagnose POTS, which people considered a heart problem and would send people to a cardiologist, right? So like that's a blessing right there, where you had a neurologist who specializes in nerves and brain actually thought you should be tested for POTS, which would have been usually a neurologist be like, I don't think you have anything I can help. Let's send you to a cardiologist. Bye-bye. And, for him or her to diagnose the CIDP, the demyelinating neuropathy, and it's autoimmune, and then to realize these are connected and there's an autoimmune issue going on. You were lucky in that sense that you had somebody at least who was able to connect two of your symptoms, right?
Yeah, the thing is he's wonderful, my doctor. I cannot say, enough
Yeah.
great things about him. However, there's a big difference between the type of care I received from him and what I received through your program. And I think it's really from a standpoint of empowering the patient.
Yeah.
So my doctor brilliant could put me on medication, but I didn't really understand what my body was doing, why the medication was supposed to work, and also like what lifestyle changes you need to take. Because a lot of people just want a quick fix solution where, okay, I'm going to take this medication and I'm going to regain the lifestyle I once had. And you have to be realistic with yourself that you're going to have to make some changes if you want to be, healthy and optimize your health when you have an autoimmune disease. It doesn't mean your life is not going to be fulfilling whatsoever, but you do have to make some changes, the little
things. The thing, Dana, those are easy shit compared to living with CIDP and POTS for the rest of your life. What the hell, 100%. Right? Those are easy, right? When you know exactly what to do and they work.
But that's the thing, is knowing what to do. And so many people are like, okay, I'm willing to do anything and everything, but I don't know where to begin. And they get overwhelmed. You hear someone say, you should drink more water. And then I would get frustrated if somebody had told me that before I started this program. But what you do is like, it's so systematic, and you take certain steps at certain times because that's how it works. There's testimonies for this program for a reason, and it's because each module you go through is really a critical tool for you to really solve and address your symptoms. And each one matters.
You are so smart. I mean, I'm a huge fan of yours. I'll be honest right now, because there's something that you said that I'm just think freaking genius. You said, like, my doctor prescribed me these medications, but I didn't have any idea, and I'm not even sure they do, what was the underlying issue that was causing it, how these medications work. And even if I needed to take these medications, I had no clue. I was in the dark. But the thing is, you're not the only one in the dark. Your doctors are in the dark. But here's the thing is like, if you as a doctor think that CIDP, which is a demyelinating neuropathy, should be treated with this IV medications that's $1,000 every single month or $3,000 every month, and that's the algorithm, you never train on really how it really works, or what are some of the underlying issues that cause it. So interestingly, you give a Band-Aid for this symptom, but no one ever addresses that 50% of your neuropathy can be because your digestion sucks and you're not absorbing the vitamins and minerals that you need to actually have adequate nerve function and healing. Right? I mean, that is so basic of a concept, but your doctors and none of the doctors that people work with neuropathy or POTS know anything about digestion. We're prescribing people thousands and thousands of dollars of medication. And hey, if that solved the problem and that really cured it and it worked, okay, I think there's a place for it. But the question for you is, you took those medications, you personally out of pocket spent thousands. Did it work?
It didn't totally work. It did relieve some of my symptoms, but funny enough, about 2 months ago, my insurance stopped covering it. So I'm no longer on that medication now. And I'm probably doing better than I did while I was on it. I learned from my food mapping that I have many food sensitivities. Was able to remove those from my diet, had a great increase. Found out every vitamin we tested I was low in. Started taking supplements to address those. Definitely.
But you're actually fixing a digestion problem that's causing in the first place. So you're not dependent on those supplements for life, you know?
Yeah, and soon enough, I hopefully won't have to take them. I gained 10 pounds within maybe 3 weeks of the program. I was 94 pounds before I started the program. Skin and bones, and I've gained now a little over 10 pounds, and I had been trying for 2 years to gain that weight.
Well, how do you gain that weight without that proper digestion, absorbing the nutrients and removing foods that you were allergic to?
Yeah, and also I had a big food fear. I had stomach issues in the past, partly related to a lot of antibiotic use. I ended up developing Shigella and then SIBO, and I ended up doing the FODMAP diet for over a year, which is the worst thing you can do if anybody hears this.
Did you find on your food mapping result that you were eating something from the FODMAP diet that was actually triggering it?
So I had gone, for example, like gluten-free, dairy-free for 2 years prior, and, which turns out I'm also have allergies to, so fantastic that I did that. But my substitutes were very poor choices for my body. I had almond milk probably every day. Yeah. And it turns out I have a very high reaction to almonds.
Huge.
And I also have a reaction to oats, and I had oatmeal for breakfast every morning.
And you were healthy though. You were on the FODMAPs diet.
Yeah, so great. But it's important to have reliable data on your body.
100%
difference. And what I love about this program is I didn't necessarily question the advice given because I had the data in front of me telling me here are your IgG reactions. I know now what foods I can't do. And that gave me so much comfort to be able to eat and not be afraid that I'm eating something that I shouldn't be.
I like how you termed advice. Like some people think as if like I'm no medical savant where I feel your aura and I'm telling you this is what you need to do. I don't know how people do that and say, oh my God, you should be on the FODMAPs diet. That's ridiculous. It's not based on data, right? But I'm also not a medical savant. Just be like, Dana, you're joining the program and I feel your aura. You should be avoiding oats and almond. There you go. This is precise data from your blood. That is indisputably accurate.
And something else I love about this program is, I'm a total academic. I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
I love data and I love analysis. And you are too. And that's why I trust you in the program, is because it is backed by personalized data. And all the modules you go through are so well designed that I feel like I'm in truly a master's course on autoimmunity.
You are.
And and it makes me feel empowered to then make decisions and not feel I need to spend 10 extra hours that evening Googling what I should eat or Googling what helps with neuropathy. I learn it in a concise format that is easily reviewed. It's just very accessible and well-formed.
People think that food mapping is about getting like, what is the exact test that you're using to deal with it? And I think they're missing the point. It's the whole food mapping and our modules around training around food is really, it's an entire process that's completely unique to our program. Like I even asked somebody, how would it be if you got the test, but you didn't get any of the associate training with us to actually learn what are false positives, what are negatives, what are the role of digestion, what does it mean to have negative results? What does it point you towards closer to? What does it mean to remove? What can you reintroduce? I mean, this is huge. Food mapping.
It is. And something that some people I don't think know as well, and who are probably part of the Facebook group, is that when you join the program, you have nutrition calls once a week as well. So you have
twice a week.
Twice a week. Yes. You have access to a wonderful nutritionist who can also help you with your food choices once you get back your data. And that was such a helpful tool and something that is normally so costly outside of the program to see a nutritionist.
Yeah.
And she's specialized in autoimmunity too. So it's just a great resource that I think is undervalued.
Yeah. The other question is going to be as interesting is you brought up the educational aspects of this. And I think it's a travesty that we don't approach people's healthcare with an educational model, right?
No.
Because
it's so important.
Let me ask you this. How much did you spend or, you invest in your college or master's degree program combined? How much, when you look at everything, did you put into that education?
Around $200,000.
$200,000, with which within just a couple months' time, you were brought to your knees, possibly never not being able to work or utilize any of that, right? Exactly. I mean, people invest. I mean, the average person graduating even just out of college have over $100,000 in educational loans, right? And it's so interesting that we as parents and we as people who are investing in our education, we do that. And this is we know it's an investment. We know it's a skill set that's going to like pay dividends for us for the rest of our lives. Yet the moment we get crippled with a disease of some sort, we don't even go through the first thing. I need to get a master's degree around how to save my own life, how to live the rest of my life, how to utilize that $200,000 degree I just paid to get.
This is a best step you can do for your health in the long run, for your mental health, and to save healthcare costs in the years to come. And for me, the real value in this wasn't just the information that was crucial, but I think if I ever tried to learn this on my own, even if you just gave me the material, I would be overwhelmed. What was really helpful is that the way that this is paced out, it's digestible. So you're able to learn something, really understand it, meet with the group, talk it through, practice it through case studies. Then you meet in small groups. You can discuss any questions you have amongst, what we call a pod, which is usually like 4-ish other individuals going through the program who are there as your support systems. And you're taught also things to help your mental health, which then you utilize as tools for when you're addressing these medical issues. So one of my favorite things I learned was automatic negative thoughts, right?
We call that ants in the program. We call them ants.
Yeah, it's a way where you can look at a circumstance and really change your perspective on it so that you come out and have a more positive outcome. So we were talking before about food mapping. And I think if I had just done that test on my own and got the results, I would have been so overwhelmed. I wouldn't know what to do, what types of meals to have, because honestly, a lot of things got flagged. But in this program, although they had that perhaps initial reaction right away, I remembered to kind of take a breath and think about this from a different way. And one of the ways I thought about it was, well, if these are my results, thank goodness I'm in this program where I have the support systems and the intel to tell me how I can,
Yeah.
structure my meals in order to avoid these things.
Let's talk about this because you were on FODMAPs before and losing weight and not gaining weight. Okay. So here's the thing. With your actual data, we find in the food mapping that you reintroduced a whole lot of foods that you were avoiding.
Yeah, I definitely did, especially the cruciferous veggies. So I added those back in. I love broccoli. I have it all the time. So that was a huge one. And I started eating a lot of nuts and seeds that beforehand I really didn't. And then thinking really about healthy fats was something that I didn't get enough of in my
Huge for
diet
butts and
before.
nerves. That's huge for butts and nerves, by the way.
Definitely. So
when you did
fish.
reintroduce a lot of these fats, nuts
Mhm.
and seeds, and you're able to reintroduce a lot of these cruciferous vegetables, how quickly did you see results?
I'd say less than 2 weeks.
2 weeks, everybody. What were those results?
One, I started gaining weight, which was a huge one. But also I was having severe constipation, really severe, and constant hemorrhoids, nothing fun to write home about. And those started to subside dramatically once I changed my diet.
2 weeks, everybody. And that is something to think about for me is like, let's say you didn't do this program, because there are people who are just like, let me go ahead and try to order my own food test. Let me go see a naturopath to test my hormones or other blood work, and work with another doctor to figure out what kind of infection I have and all that. Like, I guess to me, how quickly were you able to get these results working with us compared to what you think would be the other route? Like, and you did go the other route for like 2 years.
Yeah, and I never got results. So it's been definitely faster because I think it would take me at least a few more years to get there. I've had
you don't have 2, 3
before and
years
these
to
did
wait
not
more.
pop up.
Come on, do you
No.
really want to wait 2 more, 3 more years?
To be honest, I
years?
don't think I would have lasted 2 or 3 more years. It was draining on me so much. This sounds dramatic, but truly, I think being a part of this program did save my life, save me from taking it. I was very depressed beforehand because I felt like I couldn't get help. I also felt like nobody believed me about how bad it was.
Nobody believed me, and I'm a doctor.
Yeah. And
I mean, Dana, you and I were in the same boat. I hit there at 36, you hit there at 23.
Yeah.
I thank God that I had to go through that. So I had to go through and do this because I didn't have a choice. I was going to die. And if I wasn't going to die because of my physical symptoms, I was so depressed, I would have taken my own life. And you know, from some of the stories I've been on, I did attempt to take my own life. So I absolutely 100% understand what you're saying. And thank you for being honest and being vulnerable and sharing that. And there's a lot of people in the audience here, and I don't know how people are watching right now, but if you're watching this, I mean, this is not just having autoimmune disease, but being dismissed, being judged, being questioned. It's depressing because we start losing faith in ourselves. Do we even trust our own report of our own symptoms, or are we cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs?
Exactly. Yeah. And I felt like I was going crazy trying to prove to everybody that I have even a diagnosis, right? And even after I got the diagnosis, it's like, okay, now trying to prove to everybody that by being on medication, I'm not automatically better, that these symptoms are persisting, right? And so this is terrible, but sometimes it'd be like, I just wish I had a severe cancer of some sort so people would take me seriously. Yeah, and take it seriously. Like, I feel like a lot of autoimmune conditions don't get the recognition it deserves for how much it interferes with your life. And it's something that maybe isn't killing you, but it's debilitating. And living on your couch, watching other people at my age, seeing all my friends going off, and I was top of my class, yet seeing everybody else pursuing their dream careers. And I feel like I'm, after all this hard work, have been just condemned to maybe live a life that I didn't want to live.
So, Dana, I actually I have a training called Why Autoimmune Disease is the Hidden Cancer. And I call it a hidden cancer because to me, it's akin to having cancer, yet we look like normal people. So And we're also at like 10 times higher risk for many cancers because of autoimmunity. Our immune system is occupied trying to kill us. It's not busy preventing cancer. And that's the other job of the immune system. So there's a huge link even between autoimmune disease and increased risk for cancer. And a lot of people watching, how many of you are so sick and tired of looking normal and looking healthy and no one believing you actually have this huge autoimmune issue going on?
And that's where the community here is so important. For me, my pod members were other women who kind of became mothers to me. I was the youngest girl in our group, and they were just very nurturing and relatable, and they understood what I was saying. And to be seen like that, that was huge. And I definitely had a breakdown or two there, but that's what kind of lifted me up because they heard and they got it.
Me watching you go through this program is probably one of my proudest professional moments.
That means a lot.
No, like to see a young person like go through that, and to see you the first couple of weeks, I just remember like you were quiet. Quiet. You sat back, you watched a lot. And there was a lot of pain. I mean, it was obvious you weren't believed, and it was obvious there wasn't a lot of support in your life, and you made this decision for yourself.
Yeah, I'm so glad I did, just taking the reins back. And, obviously it's a big financial decision for anybody to come into this program. But one of my last thoughts when I made it was like, what is, a few $1,000s versus my life? Like, I'm at a point where I might commit suicide if I don't get better.
I know.
Like, I'm not going to care about this money if I'm dead. I'm not.
Well, and to put in perspective, it's 5% of what you spent into your college and master's degree education. 5% of what you put into
and worth way more.
Okay, $1 million question. What is the lifetime value on your return on investment of what you invest into this program?
It's something you can't put into numbers. It has a value beyond that. You can't put a price on, being able to wake up in the morning and feel like you can take on the day, or to have your happiness back and have people around you happy to see you smile.
Yeah.
You just can't put a price on your mental health and physical health. And my boyfriend watched me kind of go through this whole program, and like all the trainings I would be online, and he'd be across the room, and he was just like, this is the best thing you could have ever done, just seeing the transformation and how excited I was to get on the calls. People would say like, oh my gosh, if being a part of this program, you have to go through hours per week. I was excited when I was going through those modules. I'm taking my notes, and it was the time of the day that I was actually smiling because I felt like I was making progress. It doesn't feel like schoolwork. It feels like you're literally solving the most magnificent problem in your life. It's
who wouldn't want to spend a couple hours a week to save your life or to solve the biggest mystery that you have in your life? Who wouldn't want to spend a couple of hours a week doing that?
Exactly.
With kick-ass people supporting you in the pod, inviting collaboration with those people and around you and your family. I mean, I'm like who doesn't want that when you are having
stage of your life? No, like this was the way to go for me. Because if I didn't do this, the rest of my hours would have been spent miserable,
in pain. Yeah. So what happened with your neuropathy?
Yeah, so my neuropathy has decreased immensely. My neuropathy had really impacted a lot of my mobility. I remember like a month in the program, or not even a month in the program, a few weeks into the program, I was still having trouble really walking up and down stairs. And I live in New York City, so I would really rely on the subway. And that's a little rough when you have to go down a lot of stairs or upstairs when you're entering or leaving a subway. And it caused me to be really isolated in terms of, staying at home. And then about a month or two into the program, my mobility improved so much, and I was able to start going places and doing things that I did not think I was going to be able to do without pain, and that I could do it and not have the anxiety of, oh, am I going to be able to really do this or go home early? So definitely gave me some freedom back.
Dana, what's something that you can do today effortlessly that 6 months ago you would have thought was impossible?
So many things, like trips. I used to be like a travel junkie, and I this past month or two was able to go, for a long car ride up to a wedding and dance all night at the wedding. Never thought that I was going to be able to do that again, especially after getting the CIDP diagnosis.
I want video, man.
Yeah, and I leave it all out on the dance floor, let me tell you. Dance was something that really made me happy in my life, and I stopped
Aw.
dancing when I got my neuropathy. So being able to do that again has definitely been great.
What was the number one fear or hesitation from joining the program for you?
Honestly, it was investing the money and not getting results.
Yeah.
That was my biggest fear, is it just wouldn't work. But obviously that didn't happen. I definitely got a lot of
Well, a
results.
lot of people watching have that fear. I'm gonna invest in this way, and I'm not gonna get outcome. What made you get
Yeah.
past that fear?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the realization that at the end of the day, this is only obviously it's a significant sum, but what is your health worth, right? If you had to put it into dollar signs, for me, my health is worth way more than what this program costs.
Mhm. And you're
So,
gonna be spending that anyway. That's the thing.
right, and
You're
other
spending that
things,
money anyway in co-payments, medications, surgery, procedures, consultations, travel to all these special doctors. You're spending it anyway. But
sure,
the question is, are you going to spend on something that works or
or something that
something
doesn't.
like I challenge people with that.
Exactly. For sure. And I guess like I'm sure people's fear is okay, like you say it worked, but does it really work? I think
Okay.
the amount of testimonies that you have are what kind of did it for me. I remember just being on Instagram and I was going through a bunch of posts that you had, and there was a few case studies there, and they mentioned a lot of symptoms that I was having
Yeah.
to a T. And I'm like, they like how just the specifics of the symptoms, just tingling in the bottom of the feet, or the night sweats, whatever it may be. I was just like, yes, yes, and yes, this is what I need to address. And then watching that 5 pillar video that you have,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this lady is smart. Like she knows what she's doing. This is something that like for me in my brain, I was just like, this is it. This is like the answer. So that's why I wanted to do it, because I just believed through the case studies you had up, and
Results, real
I was like,
results.
yeah.
That's the thing, is I think everyone should be skeptical, right?
Mhm.
I think that we absolutely must have a healthy sense of skepticism, and the answer to dealing with a healthy sense of skepticism is I need proof. I need proof. Show me that people do get better with this. And I don't know any other doctor or program that has over 200 plus case studies on every autoimmune diagnosis symptom known to man with people who have results, right?
Right.
There are people sicker than you and way sicker than you that you've seen going through the
Exactly.
program.
And
And did they get better?
I can tell anybody watching who hasn't been through the program that pretty much every alumni has only said positive things and try to get their family in or tell friends that they should join. And I know I do that. I've been trying to have my mom start thinking about, testing her thyroid and things, which is a challenge, but nonetheless, like I'm excited about what I've learned and how it can make a difference for people around me. So taking this program, it didn't just help me, it helped my friends and family who I can then share this knowledge with too.
I love that. Any final thoughts for somebody out there? Because, there are literally probably 30,000 Danas that are sitting out there that are watching this video right now. What would you say to that Dana from 6 months ago who was watching this video?
I would tell her that there is hope. Don't lose your sight on getting better, because there is a toolkit there, and that toolkit is the transform protocol. It's just one of the best steps I think that you can take to really gain the reins on your health, to take care of your mind, figure out how to have the lifestyle modifications to make sure that you're going in the right direction. You gain a skill set and set of knowledge that you're going to use for life to be able to advocate for yourself with doctors. And you also are able to just find happiness and humor along the way. You learn to love the community you're in here, and become a bit of a family. And once you're an alumni, you can always tap back into that and have the support systems that perhaps you didn't before.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana, for sharing that with us. I am just thrilled to pieces that a young woman like Dana at the age of 26 really just understands the value of herself in her own life and the value of investing in her own education in the biggest issue facing her, which is the fight for her life. And I love quoting her where she says, it's like spending a couple hours a week uncovering and unraveling the biggest mystery that you ever want to solve. I love that description. And that is what an educational process around autoimmunity really is about. And let's face it, it's not just about autoimmunity. The 5 pillars protocol works for any chronic disease. And here's the thing, a lot of people don't even realize POTS is an autoimmune disease. A lot of people don't realize these hormonal imbalances are really linked with autoimmunity. And a lot of people don't even know what the heck CIDP is, with the demyelinating polyneuropathy, and what the underlying root causes really are. So if you learned something here today, give us a thumbs up. In the comment section, tell me what autoimmune struggles you have, and check your message requests later, because we'd love to get more resources and case studies to you. You need proof. You really need proof, and you really need data to really understand how these can be really turned around. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure you subscribe. And if you have not joined our Facebook group, make sure you join our Facebook group. Thank you, everyone.